What's up folks, welcome back to another episode of Miss Times Classics channel. In this episode I'm going to be exploring the Eleusinian Mysteries, the secretive festival dedicated to the goddess Demeter. I'll be exploring what the mysteries were, the site in which they took place, with some added combat as well as it's heavily guarded, and why they were such a big deal in the Greek world. As ever, if you enjoy this content, please do consider dropping a like and subscribe, it really does help the channel grow. Let's dive straight into it. So I'll start with a little background about the origins of the mysteries as we look over the sanctuary here at Eleusis. The Eleusinian Mysteries is essentially a festival that was held in honour of the goddess of agriculture, Demeter, and her daughter Persephone, and culminated here at the sanctuary of Eleusis, which is near the city of Athens. If we look at the map, it's in northwest Attica. Despite the festival being one of the best recorded mystery cults, it's still very much a mystery cult, which means that much of what went on here is shrouded in secrecy. The mystery celebrated a famous mythological story about Persephone, who's the daughter of Demeter but also the king of the god Zeus. She's abducted by Hades, her uncle, and taken to the underworld to be his wife. During the story, whilst Demeter is trying to get Persephone back, she heads here to Eleusis. She's disguised as a mortal woman, and she makes this her base for a while, and this links the story to Eleusis. Eventually, Demeter does get her daughter back, but Hades tricks Persephone, and this means that she has to stay in the underworld for at least part of the year. Accordingly, the story gives us an aetiological or origin explanation as to why we have seasons. When Persephone is with her mother, Demeter is happy, so things grow, and this gives the spring and summertime. But when Persephone is in the underworld, Demeter is sad, and so we have autumn and winter. As we look around the sanctuary here, we can see all these bales of wheat and barley, and these bags full of grain here, and if we look at the altars over here, we have other agricultural offerings as well, which further link the site, and also the story, back to Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. As I say, the exact details of the festival are shrouded in secrecy, but we've pieced together that they celebrated both agricultural renewal and some form of spiritual enlightenment. We know that the festival ended with a revelation of sorts, that was likely some sort of secret passed on about life after death. Most of our knowledge about the cult derives from allusions to the rituals and second-hand sources. Revealing the secret to the non-initiated, or speaking about it in public, was a capital crime, and even punished with the death penalty. We know that the Athenian Alcibiades was accused of mocking the mysteries in his home with friends, some of whom were uninitiated. And though he was never in court to defend himself, he was convicted, which shows you just how seriously they took the secrecy element of the festival. So I've just briefly returned to Athens to talk about the structure of the festival, as it starts back here in the city. In the springtime, there were the Lesser Mysteries, which was a preparatory event, which included a number of purification rituals and sacrifices and likely focused on Persephone's descent into the underworld. But in the autumn, they celebrated the Great Mysteries, and these were celebrated over a period of 9 days, and this is what we're going to be looking at here. On day 1, about 3,000 people would gather here in the Athenian Agora, or the marketplace. These 3,000 people included those already initiated into the mysteries, known as a mystagogue, and those waiting to be initiated, known as mystes. The Archon Basilius, who's the chief religious official here in Athens, would then instruct them about this year's festival. On day 2, the participants would head down to the sea here at Phaleron, which is just south of Athens as we can see on the map. They'd come here to cleanse themselves, and they'd wash a sacrificial pig, which would later be used as an offering to Demeter and Persephone. So on day 3, we're back in the Agora, where ritual sacrifices were made to the gods. And then on day 4, sacred objects were carried in a procession from Eleusis back to Athens, and housed in the Eleusinion, which was a sanctuary dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. So next on day 5 there was a grand procession that made its way from the city of Athens all the way over to Eleusis, which is over here. The participants would walk 14 miles over to the sanctuary, and they'd carry torches, sing hymns and shout ritual cries. Now day 6 was the main day of the festival, which took place in this building over here known as the Telesterion, which was the Hall of Initiation, but it's heavily defended in the game, so before I can explain the key aspects of day 6, I need to take down these guards. I think I'll start by scoping out the area with Icarus here to try and find the main guards to make sure that I'm not surprised by anyone when I get in there. Can't see it being more heavily defended than that, surely. I think that should be most of them. And I'll do my best to be sneaky with this and do some of those assassinations. So we'll see if we can take this guy down fully. Absolutely, good. I think I'm going to have to move him in a moment, otherwise I think he'll alert the presence of the others. But let's get rid of this guy first. Okay. Yeah, I could absolutely see him alerting the rest of the guards. His dead body alerting the rest of the guards and then not being able to be as sneaky as I'd like to be. Okay. So let's go into the main structure now. We've got a few more guards hanging about. And we'll see if we can take this guy at the back out as well. It's going well so far. Okay. So it looks like I can hide up here, which might be useful for taking down at least a few more of these guards. Oh, and there's one more over here as well. So we'll see if we can quietly approach him. And then see if we can take down some of his mates. Okay. Now I can't critical assassinate anymore because I've run out of enough ability. Oh, that was good timing. Excellent. And we've got, looks like just one more, I think. Lovely. I got lucky there with the ability points each time. Now that those guards are out of the way, we can look at the inside of the Telesterion more closely. The building itself is a square. It's about 50 by 50 metres, with rock-cut stands for spectators and those waiting to be initiated to sit on. This is where the initiates would view the ceremonies that would take place during the festival. Inside this building, participants likely witnessed something called the Apoptare, which was a revelation of sacred symbols, with hierophants, the chief religious officials, presenting sacred objects and reenacting the myth of Persephone's return from the underworld. This would have been an intense and transformative experience that possibly culminated in a vision of light, symbolising rebirth and the triumph of life over death. It's likely that at this point there was some sort of secret passed on to the initiates, and they were told something about life after death, or the promise of a better afterlife. It's also likely that the participants would have fasted and drank a special brew earlier in the day called Kykeon, which is said to have psychotropic effects. Central to the Telesterion was this building known as the Anaktaron. This is a small enclosed shrine within the hall where sacred objects would be kept. Only priests and hierophants had access to this room. We can see that either side of this room we have these two statues known as Kor, which simply mean maiden in ancient Greek, but also refers back to Persephone's young maidenly status. The Telesterion was likely dimly lit, creating a mystical and awe-inspiring atmosphere for the initiation ceremonies. Torches, lamps, and possibly even controlled firelight were used to evoke a sense of the divine. This plaque, known as the Ninion tablet, dated between 400 to 300 BC, gives us some clues as to the events taking place or acted out here. We seem to have Demeter and Persephone seated on the far right, with initiates approaching the goddess, all led by Iacchus, perhaps a vision of Dionysus, holding torches. To finish up with the festival then, Day 7 saw ritual dances and more sacrifices held in honour of Demeter and Persephone. Day 8 was full of feasting and festivities, and Day 9 concluded the events and the participants would head back to Athens. Ultimately, the events during the Eleusinian Mysteries offered up a sense of personal enlightenment and gave the participants a deeper understanding of their place in the cycle of life and death. Subsequently, this also gave assurances of a better afterlife and a sense of comfort about mortality. Finally, this participation in the festival offered up a feeling of unity with the gods and a greater religious connection. The sanctuary at Eleusis was incredibly popular over the years. However, in 170 AD, the temple was sacked by the Sarmatians, but then rebuilt by Marcus Aurelius. The mystery stopped in 392 AD under the Roman Emperor Theodosius I during the empire's conversion to Christianity. In 396, the Goths sacked and then plundered the site, and this really marks the end of the mysteries and the intended use of the site. So that now concludes our tour of the site. I've tried to make the video as relevant as possible to those of you studying classical civilization, particularly those of you studying A-level Greek religion and GCSE myth and religion. If you've enjoyed this video, please do consider dropping a like and subscribe, it really does help the channel grow. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.